finally here. It is the latest WrestleMania of all time, WrestleMania 41, taking place at the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada, on Saturday, April 19th, Sunday, April 20th. This is Thursday, April 17th. We are continuing our Brandon's World WrestleMania week, where, of course, this past Monday I did my only 2025 NFL mock draft. On Tuesday, I did my NBA playoff predictions, plus I listed the top 10 players in said playoffs. Yesterday on the show, with my good buddy Michael Reiner from the Pittsburgh area, huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan, we talked about all things NFL draft from his Pittsburgh Steelers perspective, what they're going to do with the most important position in sports, and we discussed WrestleMania 41, all the big matches. So today and Friday, I'm going to be giving you my night one predictions today. Friday, I'll be giving you my night two predictions. And this is how we do it every single year. We're going to break down the card in the order that I have the card going. Both nights have announced 7 matches. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Night one will have 7 matches. Night two will have 8 matches, which tells me the main event of night one is going to be long. So, without further ado, let's start it off. And I had said that even though WWE has made the announcement that the winner of the Royal Rumble match will main event WrestleMania, we all know that is not true because neither Rumble match winner will main event WrestleMania this year, and both Rumble winners will happen on Saturday. And if what goes down in the main event is what I predict, and as Michael Reiner told me yesterday on the show, that you need to have a good feel starting opener, a very good work rate match, a fast, fun match, and there's no better way to kick off Allegiant Stadium weekend, in my opinion, than 50 or so thousand people yeeting in the stands as main event Jey Uso comes down to the ring to challenge the ring general Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, we did see this match, Saturday night's main event, way back in January. It was January 25th, I believe, the Saturday before the Royal Rumble event. Gunther defeated Jey Uso, flat clean in the middle of the ring, and then a week later, the Yeet Man himself eliminated the leader of the C Nation to win the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble match. After a little debate back and forth with him and Cody Rhodes, obviously Gunther, who kept attacking Jey Uso, who Gunther is just the ultimate perfect heel. He may be in the wrong era because he is such a throwback, but he is so good at what he does. Does not believe that Jey Uso takes this great sport of professional wrestling clearly and kept attacking Jey until eventually Jey Uso said, Gunther, I want to take you out at WrestleMania 41. I want to win the World Heavyweight Championship. And this rivalry really kicked up a few weeks ago on Raw when Jimmy Uso, who the week before that slapped Gunther in the face, live in the O2 in London, took on Gunther. Gunther not only stomped him, but then the World Heavyweight Champion zip-tied the Yeet Man to the ropes and basically destroyed Jimmy Uso, got blood all over him, wiped Jimmy's blood on Gunther's own chest, and locked him in a sleeper hold and dared Jey Uso to help. Then, a couple weeks ago on Raw, Jey Uso said that that moment, after talking with his family, is the moment that he realized he was not afraid of Gunther anymore. He's going to stop the big bad bully. He's going to do it for his family. We know Roman Reigns has other family business to attend to, but this is what we've all sort of seen, right? Since Jey Uso sort of broke out on his own, away from the bloodline, this is really what WWE has been building since way back in 2020 when Roman Reigns returned and took over as a heelish bloodline to get all his family members to be big stars in WWE. Jey Uso has certainly broken out big on his own, and to me, it would completely kill his character if Jey Uso did not win the championship here. Gunther has been a champion on the main WWE roster for like 85, maybe even 90% at this point of his time in the WWE main roster over the last 3 years. It'll be very interesting to see where Gunther goes all of a sudden without a championship around his waist. Now, second match is usually the least most important match on the card. So I think in this spot, it should be for the World Tag Team Championships, where the Viking Raiders take on the New Day. And this is sort of a weird WrestleMania match to me because it has not gotten a lot of build. They just faced off 2-ish weeks ago on Raw. There was interference from the LWO. It was a disqualification. It was really weird. Um, but you can make an argument, and I think this is what WWE is making, that ever since Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods turned their back on Big E in November, this is what they've been building for. New Day has not won a championship on WWE's main roster since losing the belts at WrestleMania 37 to AJ Styles and Amos. Yes, believe it or not, they've gone 4 years without a championship. Their act became kind of stale over the past couple years, especially since Big E left. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods were not the same tag team on their own accord, which is the reason why they turned heel against Big E. Now, a lot of people, including myself, thought this could have meant that Big E was clear to return to the ring, come back at the Royal Rumble. You set up a triple threat match at WrestleMania between Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods. Alas, that did not happen. And so there is some speculation here that Big E, who does work the pre and post show for WWE POEs, he does come down to the ring and he costs New Day the World Tag Team Championships. I understand that logic, but I think WWE has been building to this moment. I think the New Day heel turn doesn't make sense if they don't win the World Tag Team titles. And quite frankly, since winning them from the Judgment Day in December, what have the War slash Viking Raiders done with the World Tag Team Championships? That answer is absolutely nothing. And so these titles, unlike the SmackDown Tag Team titles, which is why this is weird, because you've had Los Garzos, you've had Pretty Deadly, you've had DIY, you've had Motor City Machine Guns, and you've had the Street Profits play odd potato in the WWE Tag Team Championship division over on SmackDown, which many people thought would have led to a multi-man match, maybe even a ladder match at WrestleMania. And yet, it's the Street Profits taking on uh MC MG. Sorry, I had to think about the abbreviation there for a second. MCMG on SmackDown tomorrow night instead of having a WrestleMania match. That's what's so weird about it. But at the end of the day, WWE wants to get the New Day over here. New Day, in my opinion, will win the World Tag Team titles. Big E will eventually probably cost them the titles. But I just want to see new champions, man. The War Raiders are boring, in my opinion. I liked them a lot better when they were Vikings. I know maybe that's the old Vince McMahon stickler in me, but I have two new champions kicking off WrestleMania 41. Then we have two women's matches on the card on night one. We have obviously the WWE Women's Championship match between Tiffy Time and the Women's Royal Rumble winner Charlotte Flair. We have Jade Cargill also taking on Naomi. I think it's best to split those matches as far apart as possible, give them room to breathe. I think because the triple threat match is a non-title match, you can put the women's championship match in that second to last spot at number 6, which means Jade and Naomi go here. And for the record, I had the complete breakdown of how I organized the card over on my Substack page. That was published on Monday. You can go check that out. That link will be in the description below. But you guys know my thoughts that WWE has been building this storyline in the fall of who attacked Jade Cargill. I always thought it was going to be Bianca Belair and not Naomi. Many internet sleuths out there thought it was going to be Naomi. So, congratulations to you that you were correct on that. Jade Cargill obviously kicking in the Elimination Chamber. Wax on odd to reveal it was Naomi after Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez had said it was not their fault, etc. And this will lead to the first non-title women's match one-on-one on a WWE WrestleMania card in history for Jade Cargill, who I think is going to be an absolute stud in this business. She has the look, she has the physique, she needs to get a little bit better in the ring. And for Naomi, who has desperately needed a character change in WWE over the past year, this is where these girls need to go out. They need to have a good match. They need to shine. But I don't think this match ends the feud. And I think there is a reason why the triple threat match for the women's world title is on Sunday and why this match is on Saturday. Stay tuned tomorrow for my WrestleMania Sunday predictions to find out why. I do think Jade does go over here. A jaded to Naomi babyface goes out on top in this matchup. I don't see a reason for Naomi to go over if what I predict to happen does become true. The next match will be for the United States Championship featuring Jacob Fatu and LA Knight. Yeah. Now, as me and Michael Reiner talked about yesterday on the show, this match will have one of two outcomes. Either Solo Sikoa will cost Jacob Fatu the United States Championship, or Jacob Fatu will absolutely run through the leader of the yeah moment. How about that? We have yeah and yeet on the same night. But Jacob Fatu, since debuting for the Bloodline back in the summer, has overshadowed Solo Sikoa. And Solo was supposed to be this new leader of the Bloodline, right? Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, this badass new Bloodline that was way more dangerous than the original Bloodline. And when Jacob Fatu went and entered the picture, everything changed because Jacob Batu stood out more than Solo Sikoa. He got babyface like reactions, and people want to see this dude absolutely beat the hell out of Solo Sikoa. And I had said, be careful with Jacob Fatu because he's going to turn into a massive babyface one day when he's getting cheered, when he's in the same ring, in the same spotlight with the OTC Roman Reigns, whether it was in that steel cage match on the first SmackDown on the USA Network, whether it was in the steel cage at War Games. This man, Jacob Fatu, is going to be a star. And I thought we were going to get Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa in a one-on-one match. I thought the turn was going to happen later. You know, you can make an argument that probably more faces win at WrestleMania than heels. I think in this night one card, it could go either way. Um, I don't know, right? Originally, I thought LA Knight was going to die here. I thought Jacob Fatu was going to run right through him. But I think I've changed my mind. LA Knight just won the U.S. Championship a month ago from Shinsuke Nakamura, who, by the way, has not been on TV since. The handling of the United States Championship is very weird. Um, I don't know how Jacob Fatu being a champion. Maybe you have that, and you have Solo Sikoa looking over his shoulder, and eventually Solo Sikoa turns on Fatu. But this does feel like sort of a post WrestleMania, maybe even leading into SummerSlam feud between Fatu and Solo. And I think you can kickstart that here when Solo Sikoa accidentally cost Jacob Fatu, who have an amazing performance. But I think LA Knight, who's been battling the bloodline for months here, I think he gets over in a big way here. LA Knight has been a fixture in the mid card. He's one of the most popular mid card wrestlers you could argue in the history of WWE. I actually changed my mind here. I think LA Knight retains the United States Championship. Now, the next match which many people view as a joke, and oftentimes when many people view as a joke or not important on the WrestleMania card or a little gimmicky, it turns out to be some of the most fun matches of the entire weekend. I think this match up next has a chance to, outside of the main event, steal the show on WrestleMania Saturday, which is Rey Mysterio against El Dragon Americano. And I would absolutely love it if they have El Dragon Americano not be Chad Gable. Now, Gable went on this expedition to learn from a luchador on an annual luchadors. That sort of been his storyline going into WrestleMania. Him and Otis and Alpha Academy obviously have history that was never paid off, that still does tick me off to this day. I think that was one of the rare fumbles of the Triple H booking era. But listen, whoever plays El Grande Americano and Rey Mysterio, you know Rey always brings it to WrestleMania. El Dragon Americano and a fantastic match a couple weeks ago on Raw where he just went back and forth showing his ability. Um, I think that if it probably is going to be Chad Gable as the reveal here, I hope they do it at WrestleMania. It'd be a big WrestleMania moment for Michael Cole to finally tell Pat McAfee, see, that is Chad Gable, or for Pat McAfee to do the opposite and tell Michael Cole, see, that is not Chad Gable. I think it's going to be a big moment. I think it's going to be funny. I think it's going to be hilarious. I think these two will put on a good match. I do think Rey Mysterio goes over here. And I think that they do eventually unmask out Dragon Americano. And it would be funny if they're trying to unmask him and Gable just comes down to the ring and, take off the mask and we find out who it is. Now, after the shoot promo that it was a couple weeks ago on SmackDown, this women's championship match between Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte, all of a sudden Michael Reiner disagrees, and I get his point. It hyped me up more for the event because I'm all for shoots turning into work. I like how WWE has brought this shoot storyline that went off the rails a couple weeks ago with a promo into it, and Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton have gotten more aggressive and they've attacked each other. This storyline is all about, Tiffany Stratton having the looks of Charlotte Flair, being so young, right? Already in this position. I mean, she's younger than me. I'm 26, Tiffany's 25, and she is here in a prominent position. In my opinion, almost main eventing night one of WrestleMania, and she's entering not as the challenger, she's entering as the champion. And Charlotte Flair thinks she's a little Barbie doll. She's not a serious wrestler, and Ivy has taken that to heart. And for whatever reason, there's some heat between these two. Maybe it's Charlotte being the veteran, Tiffany Stratton being too young. Maybe there is a little bit of real life jealousy there. But I think WWE was not expecting Charlotte to get booed as much as she is. She's always been corporate and fans have not liked her always. But a little bit there in 2023 before she had her ACL injury, it felt like she was getting a little bit of respect for just how good she is in the ring. Yet she's been completely booed since she came back. I think fans feel like she was forced to win the Women's Royal Rumble. Fans do not feel like she should be back in the Women's Championship storyline so quickly after all these women, worked hard to get in that spot, and it really did not feel like WWE had missed her over the past year because of how deep the women's division is. That, like Michael Reiner said yesterday, Tiffy is supposed to be the babyface in this feud, but I get what he's saying of why would she run away after saying that line to Charlotte about her 3 divorces. Um, Tiffy has certainly gotten over with the crowd, right? Tiffy time. She has really worked her way over the past 6 months from becoming the woman's Money in the Bank ladder match winner to cashing in on Nia Jax on the first 3 hours of SmackDown in 2025 to now entering WrestleMania as women's champion. And to be honest with you, I think there's more meat on the bone here. I think if he deserves a little bit of a longer title reign, maybe it ends at SummerSlam against somebody. But I do think she goes over here. She beats Charlotte, who maybe the storyline is here that she underestimates her. Maybe Charlotte goes for her pendant moonsault, which she has not been doing as much since her knee injury. And if he counters that right into the prettiest moonsault ever, one, two, three, Tiffany Stratton retains. So we know what the main event of WrestleMania Saturday is. We know it's Roman Reigns, we know it's Seth Rollins, and we know it's CM Punk. And originally, we know they've been talking about this favor ever since the Royal Rumble when CM Punk eliminated Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins from the Royal Rumble. Then Logan Paul dumps out CM Punk. Punk and Roman start arguing. Rollins hits them both with curb stomps. And then Rollins costing CM Punk the Elimination Chamber. Then Rollins um, and Punk having that steel cage match at Madison Square Garden, Roman Reigns destroying them both inside the cage, which is what led us to this triple threat match. And ever since Survivor Series War Games, when um CM Punk obviously helped Roman Reigns' OG Borderline defeat the new Borderline. CM Punk has said that his best friend in the world, aka Roman Reigns' wise man Paul Heyman, owes him a favor. We know CM Punk and Seth Rollins absolutely hate each other. We know Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins absolutely hate each other. We know Roman Reigns and CM Punk, there may be a little bit of respect there, but they don't like each other. And when CM Punk said that he wanted Paul Heyman to come down to the ring with him to manage him at WrestleMania instead of the Tribal Chief, and they did the callback where in 2013, CM Punk has said that Paul Heyman, excuse me, said that he's going to walk down to the ring with CM Punk one day in the main event of WrestleMania, and now it's actually happening 12 years later after the promo a couple of weeks ago on Raw where Seth Rollins came out and he almost hit Paul Heyman, but then CM Punk came down and then they got into their little brawl and obviously Rollins ends up almost stomping Paul Heyman but does not and then says that Paul Heyman owes him a favor. I do think now that this favor is clear. I think that this match will determine who walks away with Paul Heyman as their manager. And I think that the wise man of Roman Reigns, the best friend of CM Punk, will screw them both. And he will walk away with the architect, the visionary Seth Rollins, who has been doing the same, whoa, whoa, oh. He's been doing the same song and dance now for the past 3, 4 years. He debuted it at WrestleMania 41. It really started to catch on, or excuse me, WrestleMania 37. Over the last 3, 4 years, going into WrestleMania 39 against Logan Paul, it really started to catch on. Um, I think Rollins needs a shift in character. I think this will be very similar to his authority character that he had in 2015 when he sold out. And the nice thing is, we know Seth Rollins can talk. Like, I don't think he necessarily needs Paul Heyman to be his manager on the mic, similarly to Roman Reigns. We know Roman Reigns can talk, but Paul Heyman, being the wise man, took the tribal chief to the next level. With Seth Rollins hating both CM Punk and Roman Reigns. And the way he looked at Paul Heyman, I think the seeds are being planted here. Punk and Roman are going to be pissed off at each other. They're going to blame each other for letting Paul Heyman turn on them both and allowing Seth Rollins, that weasel that they both hate, they have a universal hatred for. That I think one of the main events of SummerSlam in New Jersey, the first ever 2 night SummerSlam, will be CM Punk against Roman Reigns is the logical progression for Roman, who is now out of the World Championship storyline. He is now out of the Bloodline storyline. This is sort of his next chapter, is dealing with CM Punk, the man who he entered WWE in to help protect as a part of the Shield. Remember, that was their first storyline. It was Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose were the bodyguards of the then WWE Champion CM Punk, who was with Paul Heyman at the time. It now becomes full circle. And so I do think that, if Jey Uso's going to win, if Jade Cargill's going to win, if LA Knight's going to win, Rey Mysterio's going to win, Tiffany Stratton's going to win, that's a lot of baby faces going over night one. And so I could be wrong here, right? Like the War Raiders could theoretically defeat the New Day. I think even Jacob Fatu could defeat LA Knight. I think El Dragon Americano could defeat Rey Mysterio. I do think that Charlotte Flair could defeat Tiffany Stratton. I think the most likely outcomes, and the only one that I'm not sure will happen, will be Tiffy and Charlotte. I think the other ones do go down. Again, LA Knight, Jacob Fatu, maybe a little bit more up in the air than I first originally had predicted. But I think if a lot of baby faces go over night one, it's because the heel and the heel turn happens at the end of night one, leading to, and I did say this, right? Going into the favor, I thought the favor was going to be CM Punk not only as Paul Heyman turn on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 41, but Paul Heyman promised CM Punk an undisputed championship match. CM Punk weasels his way in or even comes down afterwards to the Cody Rhodes John Cena match night two, and CM Punk walks out of WrestleMania 41 as the undisputed world champion, turning on Cody Rhodes while also doing to John Cena what he said he was going to do. Obviously, all three of those men also have a history. I no longer think that. But I do think there is potential for the night one main event to have an impact on the night two main event, believe it or not. What is that impact? You'll find out tomorrow as Brandon's World WrestleMania week continues with my WrestleMania Sunday, aka Night 2 predictions. Like that clip from the Brandon's World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brandon's World podcast right here on YouTube.